Indulging my inner child is how I stay young at heart. Paper mache was easily one of my favorite crafts as a kid. I loved getting lost in the texture and the mess of it all. It really was something that got me engaged. So, art class is in session today, and we're making paper mache strawberries. So, grab your supplies, find a comfortable spot, and let's get lost. I'm starting off using cardboard that I just have around the house from packages and moving, and I am drawing out the shape of a strawberry. I have my reference there. I wanted it to be big, but not too big, just kind of big enough to fit that little spot on my wall. I'm using this cardboard to create a dimensional shape as well so that it can appear more 3D and it'll just be easier than just trying to mound on paper mache on top of paper mache to make it fuller. So I created kind of a layered effect, crisscross effect, I should say. And I put the plastic bags inside just to make sure that it wouldn't be dense, because you can do it without the plastic bags, but I do think that putting the masking tape on side of something hollow is not really going to be stable, especially when you start laying that paper mache on top. It's just going to kind of sink in, so this keeps it from doing that. Once my piece is full, I take the masking tape and I lay it going across, just making sure I fill in each space. I don't want to leave anything open. I just want to make sure that it's completely covered. I waited until after I created the shape to do the leaves because I wanted to make sure that the leaves sat where I needed them to sit, which is why I didn't do it in the beginning when I cut the shape for the strawberry. Normally I use some type of copper wire to give shape to things I want to bend, but in this instance I'm just going to bend it around and roll it because I'll just shape it with a bowl when I lay it flat. I added this little piece of bag just to kind of give it that little hump at the top of the strawberry. I don't know that this was necessary, but I did it anyways. Looking back, I do wish that I made more leaves for the top of the strawberry. It definitely would have given it a fuller look, but I still feel like it turned out okay. I hot glued balls of aluminum that I rolled in kind of a diagonal sequence. I wanted to make sure I created that infamous diamond shape that strawberries have. Making the paper mache mix is pretty simple. It's just flour and water, and I mix it until it reaches the consistency that I want, and I added a little bit of salt because I saw somebody say that helped with mold. This part of the process had me questioning if I wanted to continue this, because I had a question of should I put masking tape, and I didn't do it, and then I realized I should, so then I put the masking tape, which is why I didn't really get much footage of me covering. It was just a lot of experimentation. I ended up covering the masking tape again with paper mache, and then again with more toilet paper. I'm sorry, not toilet paper, paper towels, because that was what I chose to use because it does have a bit of a smoother texture. So I like to use that for the base. And then I don't know. I was just doing stuff, and I was just hoping that it would turn out right, hoping it would look right, and it just was not. I don't know. It just wasn't giving strawberry. It was giving grapes. I would say I did about 3 layers just within this setting, and the last layer was strips of paper towels just to try to create that shape, and it still didn't look the way I wanted, but I just kind of left it to dry and said I'll get back to it later. I decided what was needed was to fill in the gaps. In order to do that, I will need to make a clay, which is basically just tissue that's soaked in water and mushed together to create this clay consistency after you add glue. So here I am just mixing the tissue and then draining all of the water out in order to just have a good base. And the good base would just be drier so that when I add the glue, I'll be able to kind of just keep adding and adding and adding until it forms a consistency that's malleable, because ultimately you're going to be shaping with this and you're going to need it to be able to form to whatever you want. And I know I've made this previously and I didn't use enough glue and it was very soggy and wet, kind of like a paper ball, which is not the ideal consistency. So I'm just going to knead it and mix it in until it reaches the point where I can play with it in my hands and ball it up, and then I know it's ready. It really came together to this step. I just molded the paper mache clay with my fingers and with a spoon. It's kind of like mashed potatoes. That's how it looks to me, at least. But I feel like this really fixed the issue and gave more of a strawberry appearance. If you made it this far, you have made it to the easiest part. Well, if you consider the easiest part painting, because I consider the easiest part painting. I think that this is the part where I can just let loose, because now the technical parts are over and I can just get right into coloring, and that's kind of my strong suit. As someone who has a very vivid imagination, seeing ideas that are in my mind come to life is very important for me. It's very validating and it's very comforting, and it allows me to really express my thoughts so that they don't just stay in my mind, just rambling around and wreaking havoc to my nervous system. I think it's important to keep in mind that this doesn't have to look perfect. Embrace the texture, embrace all the lines, embrace the little imperfections that pop up, because I feel like that's what makes this piece yours. I'm not very obsessed with making this look very professional. I suppose if I was to sell these for people, then I might put a little bit more effort into making sure things are more streamlined. But this is just something I'm doing for myself. This is a hobby. This is a way for me to release. And I think that if you're going to view something as a way to release, then you cannot have the expectation that it looks perfect or it looks amazing. This is for you. So if you're doing this for you, or you're creating this because you genuinely enjoy crafting and you enjoy hobbies, then let it be that and get rid of the expectation that it has to look a certain way. I was going to make the seeds 3D, but I decided not to because that's just an extra step I'm not about to put myself through. And I can just create an illusion with highlights and it won't be that bad. Someone suggested that I use the spray Madge Podge instead of the regular one, and I'm so glad because this is so much better and I like the finish a lot. It looks way shinier and silkier. I did not put effort into showing the back, because if you are a black woman and you understand that when we say the back of our head is our business, that's what I'm applying to this. The back of this is my business and nobody else's. I'm going to put these little hooks on there. It's going to look raggedy and y'all going to like it. I hope that this video was insightful for you and you were able to find inspiration, even if it's just making your own craft. Creativity is something we lose over time, especially when we get caught in the rustle and bustle of life and adulthood. And I think it's important to tap into those parts of ourselves and allow ourselves to release. So hopefully you released today. And even if you didn't, you're planning on finding a release, because creativity is something that can heal you and it's something that can transform you.